Hello, and welcome to episode 156 of Design Curious Podcast. I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. Today on the podcast, I had the pleasure of interviewing Michael Brinkley of Brinkley Furniture. Let me tell you a little bit more about him. He's the owner and master craftsman behind Brinkley Furniture, a nationally recognized custom furniture studio based in Redding, California. Since relocating to the area in 2022, Michael has continued to build a reputation for creating one-of-a-kind, handcrafted furniture that blends timeless design with the natural beauty of the Northern California landscape. Each piece is thoughtfully designed, meticulously built, and finished by hand, earning the attention of clients and interior designers across the country. We have a great conversation. I think it's really important to know about custom furniture builders and for designers to use them because they can make completely unique pieces for your client that no other client is going to have. That is the beauty sometimes of hiring an interior designer, to have those custom pieces. And so I think you're going to enjoy the conversation today. Let's get into it. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hi, Michael. Welcome to Design Curious Podcast. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun conversation for our audience because it's a little bit different. You are a custom furniture builder, and I would love to talk a little bit more about who you are, how you got into the business, first of all, with custom furnishings, and then a little more about Brinkley Furniture.
Absolutely. So my name is Michael Brinkley, and I have been building custom furniture for probably about 32 years combined with cabinetry. And we've been focused mostly on furniture for about the last 10 years. The way that I got into it was pretty funny, actually. We had a friend of mine that did remodels and invited me to come work for them. And what I didn't know was that they had cut a house in half, moved it across town, and then put it back together. They did everything from the electrical, plumbing, all that. I had no clue, no experience, nothing. When we got down to the final details of the trim work, that was the part that I fell in love with. And it sparked something that just started from there.
Wow, that's a really fun way to get into it, that you just discovered a passion for the trim work. So you did a lot of cabinetry starting out then.
Correct. Honestly, whenever I got onto the job site and I saw the shape that this house was in, I should have just got out of the construction at that time. But yes, through the years, we picked up trim work and different things. And I eventually transitioned over to where I was building bookshelves and cabinetry. And then we got into full-fledged cabinetry and I started my own cabinet shop. And so I had that going on for many, many years. I always had a vision that one day I wanted to build furniture. I just wasn't exactly sure what the process would be or how I would go about it.
Mm-hmm. So how did you transition from doing the cabinetry into custom pieces of furniture?
I actually had people that was looking for specific pieces. One of the things that I've learned is that when you go into showrooms, you have all these vast pieces of what I consider production pieces because you can buy on multiple pieces. We would have some interior designers that would invite me in there and say, look, we've got this product right here that the customer absolutely loves. However, it's the wrong color, the wrong size, or what have you.
Yeah.
And they would just say, can you build it? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So it sparked as just basically one piece, one small bookshelf or something like that. And then after it happened that way, then we started picking up and doing more and more pieces. So, and it just kind of evolved into something bigger than I could have anticipated.
Yeah, that's fun. So you basically partnered with a lot of designers initially. They brought designs to you. So then do you now design your own pieces of furniture that you can build out and sell?
We do. Actually, a lot of what I do is what I consider one-off. The customer brings in a design. I mean, you're into interior design, so you understand a customer can have a design in their mind, but for them to put that out there, you've got to try to interpret what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's hard to do that. But through this process, I've learned how to do that. And then I said, you know what? I'm doing this for all the other people. I would love to build something that I can consider my own. I mean, we build all kinds of pieces, built-ins and dining tables and bookshelves and you name it. But in the back of my mind, I always have something like a platform bed or I'm drawn to mid-century modern.
Okay.
I absolutely love that feel. And that's part of the things that I want to do. So yes, we do have some neat things coming up. Are you familiar with the Sundial Bridge in Ring Reading?
Yes, I've seen pictures of it. Yeah.
So we're actually designing a piece of furniture, think kind of like an Adirondack chair,
Mm-hmm.
a chair. It's going to have the inspiration from that sundial. The back portion of the chair itself and the back leg will have that look. And we're in the prototype phase right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it will come together. We'll do a few iterations of it, and then we'll actually go into production.
Wow, fun. So are you going to make multiple pieces then?
Yes, we will. We've actually are already starting to take pre-orders. We've had such
Oh.
great. We actually started it as a indoor chair.
Okay.
I was thinking I want to do something that's mid-century modern, but has this theme for indoor.
Yeah.
And so many people were looking at it and going, "Oh, outdoor."
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we live here at near the Sacramento River, near the Sundial Bridge. So it just kind of turned into that. And so yeah, we've got a lot of interest in it. It's just pretty exciting.
Really fun. Yeah. Maybe because it kind of lent itself to a little bit like the Adirondack chair and people saw that similarity and was thinking outside. But I would like to see it also in an interior application. I think that sounds like it could be really interesting, like to sit alone in a living room or something and have a really interesting look to it. Yeah.
Exactly. That is my goal. I'll build a couple of the quote unquote Adirondack style, but ultimately I'll do an interior and see how it looks.
Mm-hmm. Great. So when it goes through the process and it starts with a sketch and then you're doing the prototypes and then you have the finishing work, what is your favorite area of that process? Do you like the beginning, middle, end?
I think let's take it like as if a customer comes into me, I think taking their idea and putting it on paper. They'll come in and they'll have like Pinterest posts and different things and be like, I like this, but I want to do this. I like this. And so I take that design and I hand sketch it real quick and say, okay, is this about what we're looking at? No, let's change this. Or no, let's change this. So when we finally get it pinpointed, then I go into a 3D sketch and then just build it from there. So I think the most favorite part that I like is just trying to implement all the details together to make an actual functioning piece of furniture.
Nice. So I know that you're in Northern California. Do you sell a lot to just this area, or do you branch out and sell across country? Where's most of your clients come from?
We are nationally recognized. For many years, we did mostly the area of Florida. I have a lot of clientele in Florida. We've got some pieces that are in celebrity neighborhoods over there, but we have got pieces that are in like Texas and Tennessee, Mississippi. We've got, obviously pieces here in California. So we've spread out. We haven't hit too terribly many states, and being in California, sometimes it's a little harder to ship out. Mm-hmm. So we try to confine it more here, but yes, we have got pieces all over.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that it's direct consumers that are finding you, or is it more interior designers that are wanting to work with you?
It has been a big mixture. So a few years back, I would say it was probably more B2B or more direct to like interior designers and showrooms. But here lately, I've been having a lot of customers just finding me online because they're looking for specific things.
Yeah. So do you go to furniture shows and things like that, or you just stay mostly in your shop?
It's been hard to do anything like that. We've talked about it, but a lot of times it's just you stay so busy. I'll get so busy on building things and I'll look up and go, oh, there was a furniture show happening 3 weeks ago. Sometimes it's hard to, I'm sure you can understand when you do a lot of running around.
Mm-hmm. So take us through the process that if a designer wanted to come to you and work with you for creating a custom piece, What is the information that you would want to have ideally from the designer from the get-go? And what kind of process would it be to work with you to get something custom made?
I think the biggest thing is trying to find out what the pain point of the customer is. I try to sell that as the biggest thing that drives me, is because if you think about it, when customers go to look for furniture, their pain points are always, it's the wrong size, it's the wrong color. And I know I kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, but if let's say you contacted me and said, we've got a customer that has a piece, they already know what they're looking for. We just see it designed and built. Then I would take your dimensions and your ideas and go from there. And then, like I said, we get it onto a sketch, see what we can come up with, see if the customer's happy with that. And then we'd go to a 3D design. I like going to the 3D design because I can personally build it to exactly what is expected. So you as an interior designer or the customer themselves may not understand the engineering portion of it. Like, I don't understand what you guys do when it comes to interior design. I can build anything out of furniture, but you guys can work magic with interior design and stuff. So kind of the same concept. I take those ideas and I put them into a drawing, but then I engineer the portions into it. So that way we can say, okay, if we do this, then this product will stand the test of time. And then once we do that and get the approval on it, then we start, we'll get like a deposit and we start getting the materials ordered, and it would go through. I pride myself on communication. That is the number one thing I've heard through the years that people have had a complaint about. Communication. So we pride ourselves on that, and we try to make certain that the interior designer or the customer, whoever we're dealing with, knows every step of the way. They're welcome to ask questions. They're welcome to swing by the shop and see their project in process.
That's great. Yeah. Communication really is key to have a successful project from start to finish. I know you talked about the chair that's inspired by Sundial that you are currently producing, but is there any other really fun projects that you might have worked on that stands out to you, a custom piece?
Yes, absolutely. So in Windermere, Florida, there is a celebrity neighborhood there, and this particular customer loved their wine. They had many different brands that they liked. They commissioned us to build a table. They didn't know what they were looking for. They just said, we want a table that's going to show these wine lids or these wine crates. And so we started looking and sourcing their different brands. Once we got them, then we created what I call a wine crate table. It's literally just cutting those crates up and we produce those pieces on top of the tabletop. So think like your actual dining table that you put your dinner plates on or you're leaning against, you would normally have a solid surface there. This was still a solid surface, but it was produced with all those wine crate tables. So as you're sitting there eating, it makes for a perfect conversational piece. Or if they're sipping wine, they can sit there and look and see all the different brands that's there. And then, of course, we added some brass and different things in there to make it look really, really nice. So that, to me, was probably the most standoff piece that I've done.
That sounds like a lot of fun. You mentioned that you incorporate some brass. So do you use other materials besides wood in your furniture making then?
We do. Primarily, for me, it's all wood just because that's how we're set up. But I do have sources. We try to locally source everything. I am a small business, and I like to try to do the best that I can for my clients. And so we bring in the local sources as well so that we can all work together. So metal fabrication, if it's something small, I can typically handle it. Otherwise, we will sub it out. Same thing with upholstery, same thing with even powder coating and stuff. Some clients want some color, integrated into their metal work. And so we can do that as well.
Yeah. And sourcing locally is always great, especially with the current situation. Tariffs may or might not be happening right now. Is there any effect on sourcing your wood that might be affected by tariffs, or does your wood come locally as well?
So far, it's been good. All of the wood is sourced locally. Now, whether the supplier that I get it from gets everything locally, I'm not certain on that. I think for the most part, they do. I think it's all actually comes out of California. And we haven't seen any tremendous price increases yet. I'll see if these things kind of fluctuate. But all in honesty, even throughout the years, the material always fluctuates depending on the demand.
Hmm.
So, one season it might be walnut, and then the walnut pricing will go up and down. There has been a lot of scare about the tariffs, but so far we've been pretty good. And I feel like that we're pretty competitive as far as producing. Some of the things that I've kind of had to fight against, I guess, is when people buy stuff from overseas because you can get it for cheaper over there. And a lot of times that's what it seems like to people here locally is, oh, well, it's cheaper. But the fact is we can offer a much better warranty. Our quality and craftsmanship is just superb. And we really, like I said, our communication is excellent. And then we also try to do a very close timeline. Most furniture pieces you probably see 10, 12 weeks or plus. And for us, for the most part, we're usually about 3 or 4 weeks out. Sometimes it goes
Oh,
a little bit higher, sometimes a little shorter, depending on the demand.
that's a really good turnaround. Yeah. 'Cause sometimes custom can take longer. So,
Sure. I'll
yeah.
tell you, sometimes we can get a piece all set up or start design, with the design process is over with. And then we start to build it. And then the customer might say, hey, can we change this or that? If they catch us quick enough, we can. Sometimes we don't. We have to make some modifications. But yeah, for the most part, we can usually turn it around pretty quick.
Hmm. Yeah. So you mentioned you love mid-century modern looking furniture. And I'm sure you've done all different kinds, since you've done cabinetry and you've done furniture. Is there anything in particular that you really love making, like a furniture piece, or really don't like? But do you have like a favorite and like one that you really kind of shy away from?
That is a really good question. Sometimes it's hard because, like right now, we're actually physically building an exterior door for a customer out of
Hmm.
hickory. I'm building some pretty decent sized armoires, dining tables, and a ton of different things. To say that I have something that I don't know. I'm really thinking what I would just not want to build.
Mm.
It's funny that you bring up the Murphy beds because we actually built a few of them a few years ago, and then it was kind of it just stopped, And then all of a sudden, this last year, I probably built 6 or 7.
Wow.
Matter of fact, I just got an order for one yesterday. So right now they're kind of coming back. I like doing Murphy beds because a lot of times they're quick and easy,
Hmm.
but you can also add that touch for each individual customer.
Yeah. And I just think it's probably you're working on something different every day. Like you never know what the client's going to bring you. They might need like an entertainment console or some kind of console to house their sound equipment. So you need a certain size on their subwoofer and then all the components that go into it. And then you have to have like the mesh and all the ventilation and things like that to go with it. So do you feel like you're always learning something new or has anything surprised you lately?
That actually brings up a perfect segue into one of the most, I said the wine crate table was probably one of the most iconic pieces, and it still stands that.
Mhm.
There's a second one, though, that I would say was absolutely amazing, and it falls along in them lines. A client had a condo that they were building in Destin, Florida, and they had people from Sony were actually there setting up their house and doing different things. They wanted to incorporate a TV into a barn door. So this
Oh,
was not something, even Sony themselves said that they have never seen one. And it was pretty interesting. So I said, well, I'm up for the challenge. I said, as long as you guys can wire it, I can handle the woodworking part,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so we did. We actually built a barn door to mimic, I'm sure you're familiar with Restoration Hardware.
Mhm.
You got a lot of clients love their furniture.
Mhm.
And this particular client had bought a few pieces of that. They wanted to match that. So we actually
Mm.
built them 5 barn doors in that house and matched them to the Restoration Hardware finish. But one door had the TV in it and it covered their pantry. So
Wow.
it was really nice. You could have the door closed where it covered the pantry up while they're cooking. They're standing at their stove, physically looking at the television. It's just straight ahead of them. But then they can
Interesting.
open it up. It's still working. There's,
Mhm.
no wires need to be unattached or anything. And then I built the door in a way that if Sony had to come back in to repair it, they could pull the door down, go to the back side of it, unscrew a panel, and pull the whole TV out and
Mm.
put a new one right in its place. So we made it to where it was very maintenance friendly.
Hmm. Yeah, that brings up a good point. Like with smart homes coming to be smarter and smarter, like
For sure.
do you find that complicates things or because a lot of it's wireless, maybe it doesn't? Is there anything that you've been considering or asked to do that's kind of unique or pertains to smart homes?
I think there's always complications that you have to learn from. You've got people who want to raise the bar, but somebody has to be the one that actually raises the bar. I think sometimes that falls to our department because, for instance, the armoires that we're building, the client wants to have lighting inside of it. So when they open the doors up, lights come on automatically, but they have to be in a specific spot. So there's a lot of engineering that goes into this stuff and just a learning process. Once you do it once, it's typically not too bad. But the flip side of that is once you do it once, you normally don't ever do it again.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but you do learn from those things and you can use it in the next project for something different.
Yeah, for sure. That's really interesting. Okay. Yeah. I love that. Thinking about that, there's always something to innovate. I love that you are actually local to me. So I'm definitely going to be looking to take advantage of some of your resources. And if anyone else wanted to reach out and get to know your company, and because I know that you do service all over, how would they get in touch with you?
Sure. They can actually just go onto our website. It's www.brinkleyfurniture.com. But they can also look up for Facebook and Instagram, all under the same thing. And it's got all my information on there. I'll have email, phone numbers they can contact. They can also just do a Google search for custom furniture in this area, and we should pop up on Google Maps. We've been working pretty hard trying to get that implemented perfectly.
Nice. Okay, great. We'll make sure that's in the show notes so people can get in touch with you. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience today about your offerings or advice just working in the industry?
Well, I would probably say at this point in time, I know this show will air probably a little bit later, but when it comes to stuff like tariffs and different things, don't sweat it. We as business owners try to work the best way that we can to help the customer every way possible. Our whole idea, just as well as interior designers, the whole idea is to make the process better and easier for a customer. But we would never, ever want a customer to think negatively in those respects. Just get with us and we can usually work within a budget. For a few years, we've done some really high-end stuff. And sometimes I think when people look at our website, they might kind of like, ooh, I don't think I can afford that. So you really can. Custom furniture is not really that expensive. It's an investment. It's not really, you're not blowing money. You're doing something that we create that's an heirloom quality that really literally can be passed down to your family.
Yeah, I think that's good to know is that you're getting so much more for what you're paying on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to tell customers for many years, when you're doing a remodel, especially a remodel, customers come up and say, how much do you think it's going to cost? We've got X amount of dollars put down. And I'll just use a round number, 30,000. And I've told the customers before, look, if you're expecting to spend 30,000, you really need to plan for 60. That way, if there's anything that you see, you're never going to see it coming. There's going to be something that's going to change, something that's going to happen. And if you doubled that amount, then you were prepared for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that with furniture. I mean, obviously furniture is not going to cost 60 grand unless you're just, I say that. We did a client's house that we did $500,000 worth of furniture for, so it's possible. But if you are looking for something and you have a tight budget, we typically try to work with those as best as we can. We can usually tell customers where we can scrape a little bit or change up a little bit or the material. Some people want to come in and they want walnut, not knowing what walnut costs,
Right.
And so that's where we try to steer as best as we can and just help pull all the pieces together.
Yeah. And that's great, especially for maybe even if working with a designer who might be new to the business and not really familiar with like the cost of walnut, you might help them value engineer it to steer them in a different direction, maybe a different wood, but with a stain that can make it look like walnut or something like that. I'm sure that kind of collaboration would be very beneficial.
Oh, big time. I mean, think about this. Your lowest piece of wood probably costs like $3 a board foot, but walnut is around $10 a board foot. And when you start putting those amounts into a full-size piece of furniture, it could be the difference of several $100s to several thousand.
Yeah.
We've got ways around making things look just like the customer envisions and still trying to help save a little bit as we can.
Yeah. And you do all different styles of furniture too. I know you love mid-century, but like traditional, transitional.
Absolutely. We're not dead set on mid-century. That's just my personal preference. We have built traditional. We've built historic. I mean, we've done historic homes. So we've done things that went into that. We've done mid-century modern. We've done farmhouse. I've actually got a farmhouse piece now that we're working on. So we can do a wide range of styles.
Mm-hmm. Well, great. Well, thank you, Michael, for coming and sharing your expertise. I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to partner with you on their custom furniture. So we'll make sure that information's available. Thank you for coming and sharing today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, likewise. So I have the privilege of being able to meet with Michael in person. He's come by my studio because Redding is not terribly far away from Sacramento, and he comes through once in a while. So he stopped by. We got to meet in person. Such a lovely guy. And we are actually going to be working with him for a client. We needed a piece for an entry that is like the height of a telephone table, which you can't really find those anymore. But we wanted it to look a certain way, and we kind of needed, it's just a really small area. And so it definitely was calling out for a custom piece, and it happened to fall right around the time I was doing the podcast interview. So it's very serendipitous. And so I'm looking forward to working with him. And I am sure I will be showing the final product on Instagram. So stay tuned for those beautiful photos. I hope that you guys enjoyed that conversation. I would love to hear from you. Leave me a message. Don't forget about all the great things in the show notes and the Thrive Retreat coming up if you're in the Northern California area, or if you want to travel to Granite Bay, California. The Thrive Retreat that I'm putting on with Sierra Collins and Kathy Tonks is November 13th and 14th. You can sign up now. I'll have a link down in the show notes. I really would love for you to be there. Space is limited, so the sooner you sign up, the better. We're going to be talking about all of that next week with Sierra and Kathy. So be sure and tune in next week for that as well. That's all I have for you this week. Next week, we're going to have that great episode about the Thrive Retreat. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.